Let's go to a special place tonight. A place in your mind where you may craft the most beautiful images and joyous moments in this cozy, sleepy story. You are listening to A Pioneer Christmas. Journey back to a simpler time and celebrate the holidays in the mid-1800s in a quaint settlement nestled along the frosted banks of a winding river in Ohio, surrounded by a snow-laden pine forest and icy waters, lies the town of Twilight Bend. Each Christmas Eve, the townsfolk gather for a festive parade of horse-drawn sleighs and stagecoaches, adorned in evergreen garlands and silver bells that chime softly in the wintry air. The cheerful tune of a fiddler drifts across the river as the community gathers around a bonfire beneath a crystal clear, starry sky. As the celebration winds down, you ride your horse on a moonlit path back to a snug log cabin tucked in the woods. The simplicity of pioneer life makes every small joy feel abundant, inviting you to cherish the quiet magic of the moment. It's time to dream away. Welcome to Michelle's Sanctuary. I'm Michelle, and my intention is to help you return to yourself as you find comfort in the sanctuary of your room and mind. Think of my voice as the voice of a long-time trusted friend who has your best interests in mind. In times that demand the most from us, we must also give the most back to ourselves. Bedtime delivers the chance to nurture that need, to rest, recharge, and feel good. Take this time to settle in, adjusting and wiggling until you get as comfortable as you can. Change any detail you like as we merrily go along, and fall asleep at any point you are ready to let go. Shift your gaze deeper inward as your breath takes center stage. Feel a big, audible sigh escape your lips in a pledge to let go of anything that interferes with your peace. This breath is a hopeful guardian, clearing the air so you may envision beauty and surrender. Breathe in slowly through your nose, feeling your belly expand. Imagine the Christmassy night air of Twilight Bend, the scent of pine and snow swirling through the air as your lungs fill with the sharp freshness of winter. It brings you close to the present moment. Yawn deeply, and with it, welcome the soft pull of sleep. Exhale another easy sigh, embracing the promise of a quiet, restful escape. As you inhale at your own pace, sense the faint aroma of burning fire logs mixing with the clean metallic smell of a snow-covered forest. Enjoy another yawn as you imagine the warmth of a crackling fire in a rustic log cabin as firelight dances on your body. The dry air is thick with a rich scent of holiday spices. Yawn again, stretching into this peaceful moment, and feel how your body naturally begins to slow. Exhale in a long, full sigh. Take one final deep breath filling yourself with the enduring hope of the pioneer spirit, a spirit that transformed rugged landscapes into cozy communities by focusing on and believing in what was possible. Welcome your biggest yawn yet, feeling how sleepiness arrives like gentle snow flurries, hinting at more to come. Transition into one last slow sigh as you sink deeper into comfort, wrapped in the quiet support of the night. Ease your breath back into a sleepy tempo as you open yourself to uncharted possibilities. It's time for the story to begin. Laura Ingalls Wilder wrote, "It is not the things you have that make you happy. It is love and kindness, and helping each other, and just plain being good." There is no better place to experience her sentiment than amongst the snow-covered beauty of Twilight Bend, one of the earliest settlements along the banks of a winding river in Ohio. Transported through time to its frozen riverfront in the middle of the 19th century, you arrive on the eve of the 25th annual holiday festival. The frosted banks of Twilight Bend host seasonal gatherings, but the Christmas horse procession is one of its most magical affairs. And while, like any time in history, nothing is perfect, and humanity is forever on its journey towards goodwill to all, anyone who visits this pioneer town is met with the open hearts of a generous community. Twilight Bend is a haven amongst the wilderness, a storybook town amidst rarely traveled paths, sprawling evergreen forests, and a connection with the wilderness that forever inspires a sense of awe and a reminder of how powerful nature can be. In Twilight Bend, the holiday season is not celebrated with extravagant gifts or elaborate finery, as one may find in the long-standing cities of Europe or along the eastern seaboard. Gifts here come from the heart and from the calloused hands that weld or sand or sew them into being. The shared joy of community harkens to a place where life is simpler, but no less full. In fact, to the modern mind, it may feel richer and more tactile than our contemporary age of information contains. Twilight Bend earned its name from the breathtaking way the fading light of day scurries upon the bend of the river that cuts through the forested hills. On the clearest of days, and even more so during the winter months, the few glorious hours before sunset create an otherworldly glow. The river becomes a molten pot of rippling light that never fails to elicit a sigh and sense of appreciation. As the sun disappears beyond the frozen river, the glinting ice reflects the deepening hues of the sky. The turning shades of lavender, rose, and indigo. This natural spectacle is a bookend to days spent toiling and work that is very much connected to one's survival. You come upon the riverbanks just before the sun slips beyond the frozen horizon and the holiday's festivities commence. Dressed in the attire of the era, a thick woolen cape is draped over your shoulders, fastened with an ornate silver clasp. It billows in the breeze of the icy blue river, but not a single bit of the cold can break through the handmade fabric. Many cotton layers beneath it serve to add to the warmth, as well as your scarf and hat. The frozen river glistens in the waning light, its surface covered in a thin veil of snow that sparkles like crushed diamonds and fairy dust. Along the river edge, tall, feathery pines bow under the weight of freshly fallen snow from a passing morning storm. Tiny icicles dangle from the long green needles, and a thin layer of icing helps the pine cones reflect the fiery raspberry gold sunlight. The town square, a stone's throw from the river, is covered in a pristine sheet of sparkling white snow, interrupted only by the boot prints and sleigh tracks of the townsfolk. Snow arrived early this year, first falling in November. Icicles dangle from the eaves of the timber-framed general store, blacksmith shop, and local saloon, refracting the golden light of lanterns that have been lit in preparation for the evening festivities. The setting sun casts a rosy pink aura around the steeple of the local church, which hosts an early morning service Christmas Day. A dozen or so cabins and wooden houses occupy the town, while most houses of the settlement are along the riverbank and in the forest. The sharp, clean scent of pine mingles with the faint aroma of burning wood from a bonfire in the heart of the square. Families and friends filter in by foot in horse-drawn carriages and wagons, their joyous conversations and squeaking wheels filling the wintry air. Lanterns sway gently from wrought iron posts, their warm light reflecting off the snow and creating a sense of brightness that defies the early winter darkness. As night encroaches, the townsfolk show off their finest attire, a rare sight in this rugged pioneer settlement. Scarlet scarves and emerald shawls add vibrant splashes of color to the otherwise subdued palette of practical black, gray and brown, wool and leather. Even the local cobbler and blacksmith don their Sunday best, their usual rough-hewn appearance and tattered and stained attire replaced with neatly pressed waistcoats and polished boots. Their wives look on with love and pride, a romantic spark renewed by their handsome attire, this kind of love not always easy to focus on while raising a brood of youngsters. This air of regal festivity is rare in Twilight Bend. It takes on more significance here, for it's not commonplace like in sophisticated, polished cities like Boston and New York. In Twilight Bend, elegance brings out a shyness in the town's most rugged souls. It takes people out of their comfort zones in a playful way, and even the town's bearded lumberjacks may be found blushing when on the receiving end of compliments about their festive attire. You venture around a small frozen pond at the edge of the square, where children learn to skate, their high-pitched laughter ringing like tiny silver bells. Some glide gracefully, wearing skates carved by loved ones as early Christmas presents. Others wobble and slip, their makeshift skates, fashioned from scraps of wood and leather. Yet their joy is no less, and their slips and falls are no more frequent, as everyone learns. The pond's surface gleams in the last light, each movement casting these reflections that shimmer with rose gold and honey hues. The children's cheeks are red from the cold, and their excitement adds an infectious energy to the air. The church bell strikes 5, and it's time for the horses to gather and assemble for the main event that begins as nightfall descends. You return to the post where your horse awaits. A handsome 3-year-old chestnut gelding whose coat gleams like polished cherry wood in the lantern light. His mane is braided with crimson satin ribbons, and a wreath of pine and holly encircles his neck. Every festive touch was fashioned by you, as his trusting eyes watched with a glint of curiosity. You run your gloved hand along his neck, offering a red apple from autumn's abundant season as a bit of sweet encouragement for the parade. He looks regal and dashing. You feel a deep well of warmth radiating through you with appreciation for this majestic animal and the bond you share. He crunches on the apple as other townsfolk gather their horses for the procession. As he finishes, you untie him from the post, and he nudges your hand affectionately, his breath warm against your glove. Swinging into the saddle, you feel the familiar rhythm of his movements as his hooves leave fresh prints in the snow with a delicate crunch. The mayor stands in the center of Main Street, a short, stout man with a quirky yet genuine smile that shows off a few wooden teeth. The cold air nips at your cheeks, but the warmth of the moment as the horses congregate and more lanterns turn on and torches are lit adds a deep sense of comfort. These fine horses are indispensable to pioneer life, and they are adored and tended to with loving commitment. They stand at posts around the square, their breath visible in the cold air, as they nuzzle one another and gently stomp in place. Wooden sleighs and ebony stagecoaches traveled through the woods to bring families from the outermost parts of the settlement. Their journey is not unlike the famous Thanksgiving poem, "Over the river and through the wood," which would one day transform into a Christmas song. Each one tells a story decorated with themes that reflect the owner's personalities, backgrounds, and holiday cheer. A white sleigh with gold embellishments is draped in a garland of fresh boughs of white pine branches with clusters of red berries tucked among the greenery, and a plush red wool blanket on the laps of a young family. A more simple pine wagon is adorned with bells that jingle softly whenever the horses shift, their melody blending with the hum of conversation. Embroidered Christmas tapestries drape down the sides, works of art that took this family of 8 all year to finish. A stagecoach painted deep green is trimmed with gold ribbons. Its lanterns cast a warm glow, and the intricate wreath fastened to its gleaming door. Another sleigh, this one sleek and black, boasts silver accents that glimmer like starlight. Its polished runners carving graceful lines in the snow as it leads the procession to the parade's beginning mark. A more whimsical design can be seen on a bright red wagon painted with scenes of holly and mistletoe, while yet another is bedecked with strips of cloth in tartan patterns, a nod to its owner's Scottish heritage. In the center of the square stands a wooden gazebo, its roof capped with snow and its railings wrapped in evergreen garlands. It is here that a fiddler begins to play, as the mayor waves a Christmas flag to announce that the procession may begin, as the sky turns into deeper shades of purple and blue, with wispy bands of fiery red. The fiddler's playful notes rise into the cold night air. The breaths of horses and humans alike condense in the air, creating mystical clouds. The fiddler plays a lively holiday tune with a soulful impression as the hooves traipse across freshly packed snow. Along the sidelines, townsfolk cheer, holding candles in their gloved hands as the fiery light dances on their faces and casts shadows on the snow. You gently guide your horse to join a line of others, their riders swaying gently in the saddle, unburdened by carriages or wagons. The crunching snow, sing-song cheers, whistling wind, and playful fiddle are joined by jingle bells in both high and low tones. Around you, torches light up the deep blue sky as the moon rises, their hopeful flames adding light to the darkness of this winter night. The townsfolk begin to sing along with the fiddler, their voices rising in harmony as beloved carols fill the square. Children and adults alike point out their favorite decorations as the parade of sleighs and stagecoaches make their way around the square and along the riverbank. The smiling faces and decorations are illuminated by the torchlight. As you lead your horse around the square, you see a sleigh pulled by a pair of white horses for the first time. Draped in shimmering silver garlands, it emulates the brilliant moon overhead. Another stagecoach is painted a deep burgundy that matches the burgundy ribbons of floral crowns atop the horses' heads, as well as the velvet ribbons braided into their mane and tails. Even the elderly couple within the coach wear decades-old garments in burgundy velvet from their years spent living in Philadelphia. Behind you, a whimsically designed sleigh from the most artistic member of the community features carved wooden reindeer mounted on its sides. Its owner, a theatrical young man with a flair for the dramatic, is renowned for his annual recitation of "'Twas the Night Before Christmas," which often closes the holiday festival. From his silk-covered sleigh bench, he stands tall, his baritone voice carrying through the night air, captivating all who care to listen. At the end of the horse parade, the sole canine participant appears. A beloved herding pup, wearing a Santa hat and a red velvet cape. With a bark full of authority and confidence, he captures everyone's attention, sending waves of laughter through the crowd as the horses ignore his request that they hurry. The procession makes 2 loops around the town square, the excitement lingering as costumed carolers take the stage in the gazebo, their voices rising in song while the fiddler dances around them. As the parade comes to an end, the horses are led to a public stable to keep warm and rest before the journey home. Townsfolk gather around the bonfire, sipping hot cider and cocoa, ladled out of cauldrons into tin cups. A table overflows with savory and sweet pies, gingerbread, spiced nuts, and roasted chestnuts. Their smells fragrance the air, and you join the lineup to sample a few of the cabin-baked goods. The party carries on beneath the silvery moon, the snow crunching as dancers twirl in their capes and scarves, their laughter mingling with the music that drifts from the gazebo. The fiddlers bow moves with joyful precision, keeping his fingers warm as his tunes echo through the brisk, magical air of Christmas Eve. A circle forms in the center of the square, tightly tied boots gliding across the snow in a familiar dance, arms linked together, and you can't help but smile and feel deeply connected to the spirit of this pioneer community. As the snow packs down, it becomes harder to find traction, and every now and then someone falls. But with so many thick layers to soften the slip, they laugh loudly as they are helped back up by their neighbors. The moon reflects off the icy waters. The thick chunks of ice, creaking and shifting with a haunting sound. As the river reminds you of its quiet presence and roll into night's gathering. As the festivities wind down, you gather your horse from the stable and cover him with a warm blanket. As the promise of snow arrives, the air becomes a touch warmer as you lead your horse towards the woods. His hooves stamp against the frozen earth, and you glance back at the merry crowd beginning to disperse one last time. You see mothers and fathers alike carrying tuckered children back to their cabins and wagons. You guide your horse along the icy river, taking in its beauty as you come upon the moonlit path through the pine forest. Snow-coated trees loom on each side, protective and mystical. The bare branches of the handful of deciduous trees contain tiny icy beads that sparkle silver in the lunar light. The quiet is profound, broken only by the snorts and neighs of your horse and the distant, soulful howling of coyotes. All at once, you feel like the only person in the world, connecting with the individualism many of the earliest pioneers felt when traveling west. The weaving path leads you to the site of a small cabin. Its coppery log facade gleams in the clearing, with a dazzling rooftop coated in snow. Your horse leads you now, so tired as he directs himself to the stable alongside the property. Once indoors, you remove his holiday decor and saddle, giving a quick, loving brush before fluffing fresh hay around him. You nuzzle with him one last time, whispering Merry Christmas as you leave the stable to return to your cabin. The door creaks open, and a soft meow greets you as you enter, and the cat rubs against your legs with a purr. The smell of winter and the outside air lingers on your clothes as you remove the many layers that kept you warm. You head to the hearth where a few embers burn and stoke them, adding new logs. The fire comes to life as the flames burn high and strong once more. The Christmas decorations in the cabin are simple but full of heart. Worn garlands of pine and a few small handmade ornaments from children in town that hang from the mantel. A sheet warming iron hangs above the flames, quickly absorbing the heat of the fire. You slip into your heavy pajamas, the fabric soft and comforting against your skin. The warmth fills the room as you pull back the cold blankets of the nearby bed. You return to the fire to lift the sheet warming iron and then bring it back to the bed, spreading the cozy heat over the sheets before returning it to hang in the hearth. The anticipation of climbing into bed beneath the heavy and now warmed blankets fills you with contentment. Tiredness comes in lush, alluring ways. Deep in the forest, with animals tucked in their hollows and dens, the darkness of night comes with the invitation to hunker down. The world outside is quiet and still. The joyful sounds of the festive gathering still lingering in your mind as you begin to lose yourself in the realm of deep, healing sleep. With the warmth of the fire and the peace of this perfect pioneer Christmas night, your body relaxes, your breath slows, and gratitude brings you to the delicate edge of slumber, finding simple pleasures, finding softness, finding hope, finding sleep. It's time to dream away.